How's it going, everybody? Today I'm counting down my top 10 favorite films of 2015. It's been a great year, and I just want to keep that in mind. It is my favorite films, not necessarily the best film. It's just the ones I enjoyed the most and that I think I can watch over and over again and love and every time and all that. And there's a lot. There's some that I can't believe I'm leaving off this list. There's so many good movies. So I'll give a couple honorable mentions right now. Some of those include Inside Out, The Revenant, Dope, Beasts of No Nation, Spectre, Bridge of Spies, and Straight Outta Compton. All were great movies that did not make my top 10. I know Spectre's probably a weird one in there for a lot of people, but I really enjoyed Spectre. One of my favorite Bond movies next to Skyfall. But yeah, some of those movies did not make my list, and I'm surprised. But my top 10, I'm really happy with it. I'll get to a couple others. Also, just like to point out, I have not seen a couple movies this year, such as Carol, Joy, and very much in particular, Macbeth. I have not seen Macbeth. Macbeth looks awesome. It's supposed to be released in December in Canada, and I haven't seen a showtime in my province yet. So, I'm for all I know, Macbeth would make my list. Joy, I was also really looking forward to it. It has some mixed reviews, but Macbeth could have easily made my top 10. It very much looks like Game of Thrones meets Shakespeare. So, and obviously I read it in school and stuff, but Macbeth, I was super looking forward to it. So hopefully I can notch that into my top 10 because it looks phenomenal. Now it's on to my top 10. And number 10 is Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, starring Michael Fassbender, directed by Danny Boyle. I love this movie. Again, it's basically just talking in hallways in these three different conferences, and I loved every bit of it. Michael Fassbender was amazing in it. The supporting cast was great. Kate Winslet, Jeff Daniels, they were awesome. Seth Rogen was great in it. It was a great movie, hands down, top to bottom, just all talking, but it was so intense. Number 9 is Sicario, directed by Denis Villeneuve, starring Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, Josh Brolin, and many others. And this movie was very intense. Slow build at the beginning, but what the payoff you get in this movie, very intense, very dark. Del Toro steals the movie, in my opinion. He was amazing in it. I love Villeneuve ever since Prisoners, and this was so intense, this movie. Number 8 is Spotlight. I thought this one I changed up. It was higher on my list, but it just some other movies I started to love a little bit more. Spotlight, again, though, I think it's probably going to be the front runner for Best Picture this year. Spotlight is great. The true story of the takedown of the Catholic Church and the child molestation, and the story was the star of this movie. Mark Ruffalo was great in it. Michael Keaton was great. Rachel McAdams was great. Liev Schreiber, Stanley Tucci. They were all great, but really what shined in this movie was the script and the subtle direction that was also involved in it. This is one of those movies where it really showcases the highlights of investigative journalism and how it's needed for certain stories like this. And this is a story that needs to be told, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it, but it's something that needs to be reminded of. And it's the movie is so intense as well, because sure, you might know the outcome of it, but it's just how you're with these characters finding out these certain things, reveal after reveal, and you're like, holy crap. And some of the stuff, like the cover-ups and everything, it's wow. Number 7 is The Hateful Eight, Quentin Tarantino's 8th film. I've loved it. I know some people don't think it's one of Tarantino's best. I don't think it's his best, but I've really, really enjoyed it. Again, it was a little slow at the beginning, but man, once you got into that whole the cabin there, it gets really intense. Sam Jackson steals it with a couple speeches in this movie. Jennifer Jason Leigh's great. The whole cast is great. It's and when shit starts to go down like it does in Tarantino movies, it's awesome to watch. And just the witty dialogue. The dialogue, again, it's a movie where dialogue shines, and Tarantino can do no wrong with his dialogue. It's some of the most witty and quotable things in movies, basically. Now, number 6 is probably my earliest entry that made my list, and it was number 1 for quite a while. The Kingsman Secret Service. This was one of the most fun I had in the theaters all year. It reminded me, it was this year's Guardians of the Galaxy for me. Guardians of the Galaxy was my most fun last year. Kingsman is probably my most fun this year. Almost. But for the longest time it was, and it's so much fun. The comedy, again, Sam Jackson's in this one. He's funny in it as well, but Taron Egerton does a great job as Eggy, and it's so much fun. The humor is hilarious. The church scene. I never got to review this because I started this fall, and the church scene in this movie is one of my favorite sequences this year. It is so intense. Colin Firth is great as that mentor role, and I'm looking forward to the sequel. I really hope Matthew Vaughn returns. I think he might just be writing and producing it, but this was so much fun. Now into my top five. My top five has changed about 5 minutes ago. It changed, and about a day before that it changed. This top five could be scrambled, and depending on how I'm feeling that day. But number five, this was my number one for a while as well. Once it came out, The Martian. Matt Damon is great in it. This movie has everything in it. It has humor, it has heart, it has drama, it has tension, it has everything. It has suspense. It's got everything, and that's why it's a perfect movie to appeal to different audiences. And I think it does a great job of that. Ridley Scott is back with this movie. It looks visually stunning, as most Ridley Scott movies do. But it was a great movie, and it's one of those rare, like, intense space movies that it's really a feel good movie. It really is, and it's up there. And it was I shifted this down literally today to number five. It was up more, but I don't know. Maybe I regret this decision, but it's a great movie. Number four is another early entry that came in on my list, and it took the spot away from the Kingsman at the time. Ex Machina. This movie, it's an indie sci-fi movie, and really introduced me to Alicia Vikander, and who's been great in The Danish Girl as well. And she's gonna do great things. But really, one of my favorite actors right now, Oscar Isaac, was my favorite part of this movie, as well as Domhnall Gleeson. He was great in it as well. Some people had a problem with the ending of it. I love the ending. I love just the interactions between the characters. It's just basically three characters this whole movie, and the way you start to find out things and piece things together. And it's Oscar Isaac is my favorite part of this movie. That dance scene, that's a great scene. Now, number three, again, this one was my number two about 5 days ago. My number three, though, is Creed. Not coming from not being a big Rocky fan, but I love sports movies, and when a sports movie does it right, I love them. This movie it's very much the kind of underdog story, very similar to the first Rocky, but it modernizes it. Ryan Coogler does a great job making this gritty world where Adonis Creed is trying to get himself his own name and not live in his father's shadow and just be himself. And some of the boxing scenes were great. There's one scene that's a one-take boxing fight, and one of the highlights of the movie. Again, this movie, it is a boxing movie, but it's also about this guy's story and how he succeeds, and it's just one of those great movies that I'm a sucker for sports movies, and if it does it right, knocks it out of the park. My number two film, basically, it was at number five at one point, and for whatever reason, I've only seen this movie once, but I keep thinking about it, and that's why it is my number two, because I've only seen it once, and the other ones I've seen 3 times, 2 times, and I think about this one so more, and that is Room. Brie Larson, and I can't remember the kid's name. I think it's something Tremblay. He was amazing in this movie. This is the best child actor performance I've ever seen. Brie Larson was great. I can't give too much of the plot away, but again, this movie has some very, very intense moments and some very heartfelt moments and very dramatic moments, and it's a story that you're just like, wow. I heard it was a book, and I didn't watch the trailer going in. Don't watch the trailer if you've not seen it. Don't watch anything. I'm not going to even show the trailer in this video because I don't want to ruin this movie for you. So Room is my number two film. I keep thinking about it nonstop. This movie just it's so good, and I can't stop thinking about it. I'm watching it hopefully tomorrow. So yeah, watch Room if you've not seen it. And surprise, surprise, my number one film. You could probably guess it. It was the most fun I had in the theater. I watched it very recently. I've seen it twice only. Plan on seeing it at least a third time. The star of the movie is right behind me, right there. Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Hands down. I even enjoyed it more the second time. I'm probably going to enjoy it even more the third time. This movie is great. It's so much fun. It's the funniest Star Wars movie to date, in my opinion. It's got some great lightsaber fights. They're raw. They're gritty. Again, the young cast is amazing. Again, one of my favorite actors in it, Oscar Isaac, he's great. One of my favorite new actresses, Daisy Ridley's in it. She's great. And the old cast even come to play. Han Solo was back in this movie. It was not Harrison Ford. It was Han Solo. It's one of those movies that I made my mom go watch this, and she's not even a Star Wars fan, and she liked it. So that's saying something. But yeah, Star Wars Force Awakens. I have said enough. Go check out my review if you really want to know my full thoughts. But yeah, that is my number one. So that is it. Let me know your guys' top 10. I'm curious to see. I feel like my top 10 is has a wide range of different types of movies. So I kind of like that when I think back about it. But yeah, let me know your guys' top 10s in the comment section below. There's so many good movies out this year that I can see top 10s ranging from way different movies to mine. Like I know a lot of people are probably gonna have The Revenant in there and The Big Short potentially, but yeah, this is my top 10. I loved all of these movies. It's tough to, especially my top 5 were tough to place, and they switched multiple times. So be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel for more videos each and every week. My most anticipated 2016 should be coming very shortly. And that is it, and I will talk to you all later.